I find myself fascinated by the idea of terror birds, those fearsome avian predators that rose from the ashes of the dinosaur's extinction. What truly captures my imagination is that one species, unlike its brethren, boldly crossed the sea to bring its reign of terror to Europe. Imagine the surprise of early European mammals when this South American nightmare appeared in their midst. These feathered terrors emerged roughly 53 million years ago, in the early Eocene, a time when the world was a very different place. Lush forests stretched from pole to pole, teeming with diverse life forms that had emerged after the dinosaurs vanished. It was in this steamy prehistoric paradise that the first terror bird, Paleopsilopterus, made its debut in Brazil. At a mere 3 feet tall, it might not have seemed particularly terrifying at first glance, about the size of a modern-day stork. But appearances can be deceiving. What Paleopsilopterus possessed was potential, an agility and speed that would become the hallmark of its descendants. While it might have been dwarfed by monstrous crocodilians and giant snakes, it was a sign of things to come. As the Eocene progressed, so did the terror birds. Nature, it seemed, had plans for this lineage of avian predators, and those plans involved getting bigger, much bigger. Just 3 million years after Paleopsilopterus, a new player entered the scene: Eluthaornis. Paleontologists believe that Paraphysornis hunted using a combination of kicks, slashes, and powerful jabs with its sharp beak, a hunting style that might remind one of a prehistoric version of mixed martial arts, with Paraphysornis as the undefeated heavyweight champion of its time. But Paraphysornis wasn't just a mindless brute. Like many of its terror bird kin, it likely possessed a level of intelligence that set it apart from other contemporary predators. Studies of terror bird brain cases suggest that they had well-developed visual and auditory centers, indicating keen senses that would have made them formidable hunters. As impressive as Paraphysornis was, it was merely setting the stage for what was to come. As we step into the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, spanning from about 23 to 2.5 million years ago, we encounter the true giants of the terror bird family. These were creatures that pushed the boundaries of what it meant to be a bird, reaching sizes that rivaled the predatory dinosaurs of old. 3 names stand out in this pantheon of avian terrors: Titanis, Kelenken, and Brontornis. Each of these genera represents the pinnacle of the terror bird lineage, and each had its own claim to fame. Titanis, the youngest and smallest of the trio, was also the most adventurous. While most terror birds were content to dominate South America, Titanis had grander ambitions. Studies of terror bird leg bones have revealed a structure remarkably similar to that of modern-day ostriches: short thigh bones paired with elongated lower leg and foot bones. This is a clear indicator of high-speed running ability. Paleontologists estimate that many terror birds, including some of the larger species like Titanis, could have reached speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour. That's faster than Usain Bolt, while standing twice as tall and weighing several times as much. But speed wasn't just about chasing down prey. For many terror birds, especially the smaller and medium-sized species, it was also a crucial defensive adaptation. In a world filled with other large predators, including giant carnivorous mammals and enormous crocodilians, The ability to make a quick getaway could mean the difference between life and death. This combination of speed and size made terror birds versatile predators capable of adapting to a variety of hunting strategies. Smaller, faster species might have specialized in chasing down swift prey, like small mammals and reptiles, while the larger, more powerful species could have employed ambush tactics, or even taken on larger, more dangerous quarry. While their imposing size and fearsome beaks often steal the spotlight, the true power of terror birds lay in their highly developed senses. Recent studies of terror bird skulls and brain cases have revealed that these prehistoric predators were equipped with sensory capabilities that put them leagues ahead of many of their contemporaries. While terror birds might not have had eyesight quite as sharp as modern raptors, they were far from being visually impaired. Their eyes were well developed and positioned to provide excellent depth perception, a crucial advantage for any predator. But what really set terror bird vision apart was its versatility. These birds were equally adept at seeing in bright daylight and in the dim light of dawn and dusk, making them effective hunters around the clock. As for their hearing, the inner ear structure of terror birds suggests an acute sensitivity to low-frequency sounds. This ability would have allowed them to detect the footsteps and movements of potential prey, even when hidden by dense vegetation. Imagine a terror bird standing motionless in the prehistoric forests of South America, its head cocked slightly to one side. To a casual observer, it might appear to be resting or even dozing, but in reality, every fiber of its being is alert, its incredibly sensitive ears picking up the faintest rustle of leaves or the softest patter of tiny feet. In an instant, it can pinpoint the location of its unsuspecting prey and launch into action. This combination of visual and auditory prowess made terror birds the complete predatory package. For years, we thought they vanished about 1 million years ago. But new evidence suggests some smaller species persisted until a mere 96,000 years ago, and perhaps even as recently as 18,000 years ago. It makes you wonder how close humans came to encountering these creatures. One of the main arguments against the idea that placental predators caused the terror bird's extinction is based on the fossil record itself. Most terror birds, along with many of their South American competitors, disappeared well before placental predators arrived in significant numbers. It suggests other factors were at play. The success of Titanis in North America also challenges the idea that terror birds couldn't compete with placental mammals. Titanis expanded its range northward and coexisted with large canids and felines for millions of years, proving that at least some terror birds were capable of holding their own. If competition alone didn't doom the terror birds, what did? It likely involved a complex interplay of factors, with climate change playing a significant role. From the Oligocene to the Pliocene, Earth's climate underwent a long-term cooling trend, culminating in a series of ice ages. This global cooling would have profoundly impacted the ecosystems that terror birds inhabited. As temperatures dropped and habitats changed, the lush forests that many terror bird species relied on gave way to more open grasslands. Some terror birds may have adapted, but others struggled. The larger, more specialized species likely found it difficult to find enough prey to sustain their massive bodies in these changing environments. The influx of new competitors from North America added further pressure to already stressed populations. Despite these challenges, the terror birds proved remarkably resilient. Recent discoveries have pushed back their extinction date, painting a picture of animals that fought to survive in a changing world. The revised timeline raises intriguing questions. What would an encounter between humans and these feathered giants have been like? Could there be any truth to the legends of giant birds in South American folklore? While direct interaction is unlikely, the possibility that our ancestors heard stories of these creatures passed down through generations isn't entirely far-fetched. Other megafauna that coexisted with early humans, like woolly mammoths and giant ground sloths, left lasting impressions on human culture and mythology. The near miss between humans and terror birds reminds us of the incredible diversity of life that has existed on our planet. It's sobering to think that if the terror birds had managed to hang on for just a few thousand years longer, our understanding of the natural world might be very different today. Now let's turn our attention to another group of dominant animals: big cats. Today, the lion may be the king of the jungle, but the tiger stands out as the largest, most powerful, and most skilled of them all. Yet, there was one species in particular that stood above them all. It not only dwarfed the modern tiger in size, but also ranks among the largest cats to ever exist, the Ngandong tiger. In the early 20th century, Dutch paleontologists excavating near the village of Ngandong on Java in Indonesia made a remarkable discovery. They unearthed a collection of bones belonging to a tiger. But these weren't the regular Bengal tiger bones they were used to. These were bigger, much bigger than anything seen in the modern world. Further research revealed even more astonishing details about this strangely huge tiger. For thousands of years during the Pleistocene epoch, the Ngandong tiger roamed the Sundaland region of Southeast Asia, striving to establish itself as the dominant apex predator. This formidable beast was larger than its modern-day counterparts, with adults weighing up to 20 to 25% more than the average present-day Siberian tiger. Larger males typically weighed upwards of 400 kilos, making them close contenders for the title of largest felines ever. Judging from the enormous size of these giants, one might assume that tigers have always been this large. However, history tells a different story. Early tigers, existing long before the Ngandong tigers, were notably smaller in body size and weight. At first glance, these encounters would seem unfavorable for the early humans. Size-wise, they stood very little chance. But to say that is to underestimate their intelligence. Over time, early humans likely developed tools and strategies to fight back, perhaps forcing the tigers back to the open woodlands and allowing humans to establish a foothold. The open woodlands of Sundaland in the Pleistocene epoch were characterized by scattered trees and grasslands, providing good visibility for stalking prey and supporting a diverse array of herbivores, including many large species. Hunting these larger herbivores, however, may not have been that successful, despite the Ngandong tiger's enormous size. Stegodons, for instance, were massive proboscideans closely related to elephants. Even smaller species of stegodons would have dwarfed the Ngandong tiger. Stegodon donus estimated to have weighed around 12.7 tons. Their thick and tough skin would have protected them from bites or claws. The Ngandong tiger's best chance would have been a scavenging opportunity or an attack on a vulnerable stegodon, a young, injured, or isolated individual. Another example is the water buffalo, known as boobalus. These are renowned for their large size and formidable strength, with some species weighing over 1,000 kilograms and moving in packs. It would have been quite difficult to face a herd of water buffalo, as their massive size, strong horns, and collective defense would overpower the tiger. The Ngandong tiger's only chance against such a colossal opponent would be to exploit their limited agility and target vulnerable areas through a surprise or flank attack. The Ngandong tiger likely had more success with other herbivores like Rusa timorensis, Malayan tapir, giant rats, gibbons, and wild boars. Despite these difficulties, the Ngandong tiger earned its place as one of the most impressive predators of all time. Hunting alone, its smart hunting skills and ability to target weaker prey, and even scavenge, shows how adaptable and tough it was. This allowed it to thrive for thousands of years, until the extreme climate shifts of the Pleistocene epoch. These shifts included periods of intense cold, with vast ice sheets locking up water and lowering sea levels, followed by warmer periods with melting glaciers and rising sea levels. As a result, Sundaland was fragmented into smaller islands, leading to isolated populations of Ngandong tigers with limited resources and genetic diversity. From these isolated populations emerged smaller subspecies of tigers, such as the Sumatran tiger, Bali tiger, and Javan tiger. While climate change undoubtedly played a role, some scientists believe that the presence of early humans in Southeast Asia may also have contributed to the tiger's extinction through increased competition for resources or potential conflicts. Other factors may have also contributed to their demise. But, with limited fossil records, many questions remain unanswered. There was once a feline that prowled our planet, a blink of an eye ago in Earth's timeline. This was no ordinary big cat. It was the undisputed monarch of the Ice Age, the Smilodon. Instantly recognizable thanks to its iconic saber teeth and fierce appearance, it has been solidified in popular culture by films like Ice Age. But the journey to understanding this creature wasn't so clear-cut. Rewind the clock about 160 years and picture Brazil. Here, our story begins with a discovery that would perplex the scientific community. When the first Smilodon remains were unearthed, paleontologists didn't immediately recognize them as belonging to a cat. In fact, their initial guess was way off the mark. Based on some isolated cheek teeth that bore an uncanny resemblance to those of modern hyenas, they dubbed this new find Hyena neogaea. However, within a couple of years, the tides of discovery brought forth a tsunami of new fossils. Suddenly, scientists weren't just looking at a few teeth, but a veritable jigsaw puzzle of prehistoric proportions. Foot bones, skull fragments, and those iconic canines, which, by the way, seemed almost comically oversized for any mouth, painted a very different picture. As the pieces fell into place, it became clear that this was no hyena. Instead, they were dealing with a completely new genus of felid, one that was not only massive in size, but also built like a prehistoric tank. This feline was far more robust than any modern cat, a true heavyweight champion of the Ice Age. In light of this revelation, a new name was in order. Thus, Smilodon populator was born. Smilodon meaning knife tooth, and populator roughly translating to the destroyer, or he who brings devastation. With its new identity established, the scientific community dove headfirst into unraveling the Smilodon's family tree. This quest for understanding continues to this day, with researchers currently placing our knife-toothed friend in the extinct subfamily Machirodontinae. This subfamily is home to most of what we colloquially call saber-toothed tigers, though saber-toothed cats is more accurate, since these ancient felines aren't closely related to modern tigers, or any living cats for that matter. In fact, their closest living relatives might be members of the Felinae subfamily, which includes our domestic kitties. Within the Machirodontinae, Smilodon found itself in an even more exclusive club, the Smilodontini, or, as some paleontologists like to call them, the dirk-toothed cats. This group is pretty exclusive, with only 5 known genera calling it home. But what Smilodontini lacks in diversity, it makes up for in star power, thanks to Smilodon. As research progressed, scientists discovered that Smilodon wasn't a lone standout. It was more like a prehistoric trio, with 3 distinct members, each bringing something unique to the table: S. gracilis, S. fatalis, and S. populator. Now, if you found yourself face to face with any of these species, you probably wouldn't be too concerned with which one was about to turn you into lunch. But they did have their differences. First up, we have S. gracilis, the elder statesman of the group. This OG appeared in North America about 2.5 million years ago, descending from an even older genus called Meganterion. Next came S. fatalis, strutting onto the scene roughly 1 million years later. Last, but certainly not least, S. populator made its grand entrance about 600,000 years after fatalis, fashionably late to the Ice Age party. S. gracilis, while no slouch in the size department, was the runt of the litter, tipping the scales at about the same weight as a modern jaguar. S. fatalis, living up to its name, was a step up in the terror department, matching an African lion in size, but packing on extra muscle like a feline bodybuilder. We're talking about 280 kilos, or 620 pounds of prehistoric fury. That's on par with the largest tigers roaming the earth today. But S. populator dominated them all. This behemoth pushed the boundaries of phyllid physiology, with the largest known specimens estimated to have weighed in at a jaw-dropping 470 kilos, or 1,040 pounds. To put that in perspective, that's about the same as a medium-sized polar bear. Interestingly, unlike many modern big cats, Smilodons didn't seem to be too hung up on gender norms. There's even evidence they occasionally went after caimans. One of the biggest questions revolves around whether Smilodon was a lone hunter or a team player. The La Brea tar pits in California offer some clues. They're a gold mine, preserving Ice Age animals. Smilodon fossils are the second most common find. This has led some to believe they were social animals. The idea is that, like modern social cats, they responded to distress calls. If one got stuck, It might have attracted others, who then also became trapped. Then there are the fossils that show severe injuries or disabilities that would have made hunting nearly impossible. Yet these individuals survived into adulthood. Some paleontologists propose pseudo-healthcare among Smilodon. I've often wondered about the social lives of extinct creatures. It's a surprisingly human impulse, isn't it? To project our own experiences onto animals that lived millennia ago. But sometimes the evidence is compelling. Take the case of Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. There's a fossil that shows a Smilodon with hip dysplasia, a condition it had from a young age. Yet, this cat survived to adulthood. How could it have hunted alone? It paints a picture of Smilodon families caring for their own, much like modern lions or wolves support injured members of their pride. But not everyone buys into this heartwarming image of a Smilodon social club. And in 2021, researchers discovered a petroglyph that seems to depict a group of humans observing a Smilodon from afar. It's an amazing glimpse into that ancient world. But as we know, that coexistence didn't last. Somewhere between that petroglyph and now, Smilodon disappeared. The youngest remains we've found date back about 10,000 years, around the same time humans were developing agriculture. The extinction of Smilodon is something paleontologists still debate. Some believe humans played a role, either through competition or by changing habitats with fire. Others aren't so. The more widely accepted theory points to the Quaternary extinction event, a period of major climate change that wiped out many large animals in North and South America. As the megafauna that Smilodon depended on began to vanish, the saber-toothed cat found itself in trouble. It's a cruel irony, really. The very adaptations that made Smilodon such a successful hunter of large prey became a liability. It was specialized to take down giants, but it couldn't adapt when those giants disappeared. It was too good at what it did, and when the world changed, it couldn't change with it. The extinction of Smilodon wasn't just the end of a species. It was the end of an era. It was the last of the saber-toothed cats, not just in the Americas, but worldwide. With its passing, a lineage that had dominated the planet for over 20 million years came to an end. Its legacy, though, still resonates in museum exhibits, in our imaginations, and as a reminder of the delicate balance between species and their environments. And as we face our own period of rapid change, the lesson of Smilodon is clear. Survival requires adaptation. Most apex predators face a fundamental limitation. They're trapped in one environment. Lions rule the savanna, but are helpless in water. Great whites dominate the ocean, but can't set a fin on land. Even T-Rex, for all its might, was confined to dry ground, forced to watch as prey slipped into rivers and lakes beyond its reach. For over a century, paleontologists assumed the greatest hunters were strictly terrestrial. Then, one discovery shattered that belief overnight. Its name was Spinosaurus aegyptiacus. Longer than a bus, armed with the skull of a crocodile and the body of a streamlined aquatic hunter, this was no ordinary killer. This was the nightmare that redefined what it meant to be an apex predator. A monster that could rival, and in many ways surpass, even T-Rex itself. The first thing that strikes you about Spinosaurus isn't its length, though at 50 to 59 feet, it dwarfs even the largest T-Rex specimens. It's not even the massive sail rising from its back like some prehistoric fin. No, what truly unsettles you is how perfectly wrong everything about this creature appears, yet how devastatingly effective each bizarre feature proved to be. Start with that skull. And while most large theropods had relatively small forelimbs, Spinosaurus possessed powerful, elongated arms ending in massive claws. These weren't vestigial appendages. They were additional weapons, perfectly positioned for grabbing prey, maintaining balance in water, or delivering killing blows. The creature could literally embrace its victims to death. And then there's the sail, rising up to 7 feet above its spine. This massive dorsal fin dominated Spinosaurus's silhouette like the warning flag of death itself. Scientists debate its exact function: thermoregulation, display, fat storage for surviving dry seasons. But its psychological impact is undeniable. Picture this nightmare rising from murky water. First, the elongated snout breaking the surface. Then, those cold reptilian eyes. And finally, that towering sail cutting through the air like the dorsal fin of some impossible shark. Imagine being a fish in the rivers of Cretaceous Africa. You've spent generations adapting to every danger. The shadow of a pterosaur, the ripples of a crocodile, the subtle shifts that signal a predator nearby. But none of that mattered when Spinosaurus arrived. The attack began before you even knew you were being hunted. Those sails weren't just for show. They served a practical purpose that would have terrified any creature unlucky enough to encounter Spinosaurus in shallow water. When it needed to move through areas where full swimming wasn't possible, that massive dorsal structure acted like the keel of a boat, providing stability and control, even in water too shallow for other large predators. Spinosaurus remained a perfectly balanced killing machine. Even at 7 to 11 tons, it possessed the mass to overpower virtually any prey, yet remained streamlined enough to move through water with deadly grace. Modern great white sharks inspire fear because they embody millions of years of mastery in aquatic predation. But Spinosaurus had even longer to sharpen the same deadly craft, only with added intelligence, versatility, and sheer size that dwarfs any marine predator alive today. The result wasn't just a hunter of rivers and lakes. It was a 7-ton monster that transformed every waterway it entered into its personal killing field. While you scanned the water for the familiar threats you knew how to avoid, death approached from an angle you weren't prepared for: the shoreline. Those paddle feet weren't just for show. They propelled Spinosaurus through water with surprising speed and maneuverability, allowing it to pursue prey through underwater mazes of fallen logs and vegetation, where other large predators would become trapped or disoriented. Unlike purely aquatic predators that relied on ambush, or purely terrestrial ones limited to shoreline attacks, this nightmare could adapt its hunting strategy in real time. This wasn't a terrestrial predator that sometimes waded into rivers for a quick meal. This was a creature so perfectly adapted to aquatic life that it spent most of its time submerged, transforming ancient waterways into hunting territories more dangerous than any terrestrial predator could create. In a world where survival depended on understanding and avoiding threats, Spinosaurus represented something unprecedented. A predator that eliminated the fundamental distinction between land and water safety. It didn't just dominate two worlds, it merged them into a single inescapable killing field. And we can't be talking about the perfect killing machine without mentioning its teeth. Conical, dagger-like, and built to clamp down on prey that thought the water would save them. Each one wasn't just for piercing. It was angled backward like barbed hooks, creating a living fish trap built on a terrifying principle: easy entry, impossible exit. But the teeth were just the beginning of Spinosaurus's sensory arsenal. Recent studies suggest this predator possessed press-sensitive organs along its snout, much like modern crocodiles, but far more specialized. In murky river water, where visibility dropped to mere inches, Spinosaurus could detect the faint press waves of swimming fish from remarkable distances. Prey animals that relied on hiding in dark, sediment-filled water were essentially sitting ducks against a hunter that tracked by feel rather than sight. But the questions it raises about predation and survival still ripple through our understanding of the prehistoric world. When we think of apex predators, we think of the T-Rex or the megalodon. But I find myself drawn to another, a predator from North America's ancient past. I'm talking about a creature so extraordinary it would make today's largest wolves look like lapdogs. The modern grey wolf, the largest living canid, reaches weights of around 65 kilos. But rewind to the Miocene epoch, 20 to 5 million years ago, and a new apex predator emerges, Epicyon, a colossal predator so fearsome it could rival a lioness in size, with jaws powerful enough to outmatch a grizzly bear. A dog that could eat a lion, in simpler terms. Its name says it all. Epicyon, meaning more than a dog. Because calling it just a dog doesn't do it justice. The story of Epicyon's discovery is one of paleontology's most intriguing progressions, from misidentification to revelation. Over 160 years ago, in the fossil-rich sediments of Nebraska, scientists unearthed the first fragments of what would later be recognized as the largest canid species ever to walk the Earth. The initial discovery consisted of a fragmented lower jaw. While obviously from a large carnivore, its wolf-like characteristics led early paleontologists to classify it as a subgenus of Canis, the genus that includes modern wolves, coyotes, and jackals. It seemed logical at the time, given the limited fossil evidence. Recent biomechanical studies have revealed that this ancient canid possessed one of the most powerful biting mechanisms ever seen in a mammalian carnivore. The enlarged premolars and strategically positioned canine teeth created a highly efficient biting apparatus. Analysis of the skull architecture suggests that Epicyon's bite force may have exceeded 16,000 newtons, comparable to that of large American alligators. The canines, positioned closer to the jaw joint, created a more efficient lever system, concentrating enormous force at the tooth tips. The result was a bite that could easily pierce through thick hide, flesh, and even bone. Microscopic analysis of wear patterns on preserved teeth provides direct evidence of how Epicyon used its formidable bite. These studies show distinctive patterns consistent with both flesh slicing and bone crushing activities, suggesting a predator that could efficiently process every part of its prey. Fossil deposits indicate that Epicyon was an opportunistic predator capable of taking down a wide range of prey. Their remains have been found in association with ancient camels, pronghorns, horses, and peccaries. They even appear to have hunted prehistoric rhinoceros species like Teleoceras, which could reach lengths of 4 meters and weigh nearly 2 tons. Recent studies suggest that Epicyon may have employed different hunting strategies depending on prey size and availability. For smaller prey, they likely hunted alone or in pairs, using their speed and power to quickly overwhelm victims. However, evidence increasingly points to the possibility that they also engaged in pack hunting, particularly when targeting larger prey. This hypothesis of social hunting behavior is supported by multiple lines of evidence. Nearly all well-studied modern canids exhibit some degree of social behavior, with most species showing higher levels of sociality than the average mammal. Additionally, most extant canids hunt cooperatively, with only a few exceptions such as foxes and some small canid species. The fossil record provides further support for this theory. Epicyon fossils are The bones of Epicyon can be found in abundance among North American deposits. It's a pattern that makes me think of social predators, more so than solitary hunters. When I first encountered that idea, I couldn't shake it. This abundance suggests that these creatures maintained stable populations across their range, which is again more characteristic of pack hunting species. And the physical construction of Epicyon, that provides additional clues about its hunting behavior. Compared to most canids, both modern and extinct, Epicyon possessed a more robust skeletal structure with heavier bones. While this sturdy build might have limited their agility and endurance compared to modern wolves, I imagine it would have been advantageous in close-quarter combat with large prey. This ability to process bone would have been particularly valuable during periods of scarcity. The Miocene epoch was characterized by significant climate fluctuations, with periods of both warming and cooling, and shifts between wet and dry conditions. During times when prey was scarce, the ability to fully utilize every part of a carcass, including the bones, would have provided a crucial survival advantage. The success of Epicyon is evident in its widespread distribution across North America during the Miocene. Fossil remains have been discovered in more than 10 different US states and parts of southern Canada, indicating a remarkable ability to adapt to various environments. Recent paleoenvironmental studies have shown that these ancient predators thrived in a diverse array of habitats, from woodlands and savannas to grasslands and wetlands. Particularly interesting are recent discoveries of Epicyon remains in cave systems and edge environments, areas where different habitat types intersect. These findings suggest that Epicyon was not only adaptable, but potentially strategic in its habitat selection, preferring areas that provided both hunting opportunities and shelter. Their ability to process a variety of foods likely contributed to this ecological flexibility. While primarily carnivorous, the structure of their teeth suggests they could also process tough plant material when necessary. This dietary flexibility, combined with their bone-crushing abilities, would have allowed them to survive in a wide range of environments and through various seasonal changes. The ultimate disappearance of Epicyon from the fossil record has long intrigued paleontologists. Early theories suggested that competition from newly arriving big cats led to their extinction. However, this hypothesis has largely been discounted, as many of the large cats that would have competed with Epicyon, such as the famous Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat, didn't appear in North America until millions of years after Epicyon's disappearance. Current evidence points to climate change as the primary driver of Epicyon's extinction. The late Miocene saw significant global cooling and increased aridity, leading to fundamental changes in North American ecosystems. Recent paleobotanical studies indicate a shift from mixed woodland savanna environments to more open grasslands. This transformation would have affected not only the types of prey available, but also hunting strategies. Epicyon's specialized adaptations, its heavy build, bone-crushing teeth, and relatively short legs, may have become disadvantageous as prey species became faster and more adapted to open environments, unlike their more generalized relatives, which gave rise to modern wolves and other canids. Epicyon's extreme specializations may have limited its ability to cope with these changing conditions. In the dying days of the Cretaceous period, when colossal predators like Tyrannosaurus rex reigned supreme, creatures such as Triceratops and Hadrosaurs often bore the savage scars of T-Rex attacks. Yet, amid this world of relentless aggression, one creature's fossils remain curiously unmarked by such ferocious battles. It wasn't the tallest, fastest, or most fearsome predator, but with a body armored like a tank and a tail capable of shattering bones, this creature defied the rules of survival and made even the mighty T-Rex think twice. This was Ankylosaurus, nature's ultimate fortress, a living testament to the art of defense in an age of unyielding predators. The story of this extraordinary creature began in the early 20th century, when paleontologists working in Montana's Hell Creek Formation uncovered a collection of unusual fossils. These weren't the typical bones they were accustomed to finding. Instead, they discovered an ass. The bones told a story I couldn't ignore. A bizarre collage of armor plates, robust bones, and teeth unlike any I had seen. It was a combination so unique, it demanded its own place in the taxonomic family. And the name, Ankylosaurus magnaventris, it whispers a part of the tale itself. Ankylosaurus, meaning fused lizard, hints at the skeleton's remarkable fortifications. Magnaventris, or great belly, speaks to its broad midsection. From the armored plates to the distinctive club at the end of its tail, Ankylosaurus epitomized nature's ingenuity. The groundbreaking aspect of this discovery was that it didn't just represent a new species. It became the cornerstone of an entirely new group of dinosaurs, the Ankylosauria. These animals, belonging to the larger clade Ornithischia, were characterized by their extensive armor plating and herbivorous lifestyle. Within this group, Ankylosaurus belonged to a more specialized family, the Ankylosaurids, distinguished by their massive triangular skulls, stocky builds, and elaborate defensive features. Among all its relatives, Ankylosaurus held a special distinction. It was the largest of its kind ever discovered, with adults reaching lengths between 5.4 to 10 meters, or 17 to 33 feet, and standing about 1.7 meters at the hip. Even more impressively, these titans weighed between 5 and 8 tons, surpassing even the famously robust Triceratops in mass and rivaling the earlier aquatic predator Spinosaurus. How could such a relatively low-slung animal pack such impressive weight into its frame? The answer lies in its extraordinary construction. Imagine a biological tank, meticulously designed for strength and survival. The Ankylosaurus's skeleton was built unlike any other dinosaur, with dense, compressed bones forming a sturdy foundation for what would become one of nature's most sophisticated armor systems. This suggests that the armor might have served multiple purposes, not just protection, but possibly also helping to regulate body temperature, similar to how some modern reptiles use their scales for thermoregulation. The number of these osteoderms remains a subject of debate among paleontologists, with estimates ranging from 30 to well over 100. But what's particularly intriguing is their unique construction. Unlike other armored dinosaurs that had solid, thick plates, the Ankylosaurus possessed something more sophisticated: osteoderms with hollow undersides. This seemingly counterintuitive design actually represented a remarkable feat of natural engineering. The hollow structure created a dome-like formation that distributed impact forces more effectively than solid plates would have, similar to how modern motorcycle helmets use their curved design to protect riders. This adaptation made the armor particularly effective. The Ankylosaurus. Even the name sounds like a fortress. And in a way, that's exactly what it was. I've always been fascinated by how evolution arms creatures, and few were as heavily armored as this dinosaur. Its armor wasn't just for show. It was an incredibly effective defense against predators like the T-Rex, whose hunting strategy depended on bone-crushing bites. Modern engineering has revealed that underneath those armored plates was a network of collagen fibers, far superior to those in modern armored animals. Fossil evidence reveals that the olfactory bulbs in its brain were unusually large for an herbivorous dinosaur, suggesting its sense of smell rivaled or surpassed many modern reptiles and mammals. Advanced imaging techniques applied to Ankylosaurus skull fossils have revealed intricate nasal passages. These passages likely played a dual role, enhancing its olfactory capabilities and aiding in thermoregulation. The convoluted structure of these nasal cavities, creating a larger surface area, may have allowed Ankylosaurus to cool or warm incoming air, helping it adapt to the varied climates of the late Cretaceous period. Vision and hearing also likely contributed to the Ankylosaurus's survival. While its eyes were relatively small compared to its massive body, their placement on the sides of its skull would have provided a wide field of view. This would have allowed it to detect predators approaching from almost any direction. This peripheral vision, combined with its heightened sense of smell, would have made it difficult for ambush predators like Tyrannosaurus rex to catch it off guard. Though direct evidence for its auditory capabilities is sparse, the structure of its inner ear suggests that Ankylosaurus was capable of detecting low-frequency sounds. This could have been useful for sensing the movements of large predators or communicating with others of its kind. I find one hypothesis particularly intriguing. that Ankylosaurus may have used its sensory abilities in conjunction with its defensive adaptations. Its acute sense of smell and hearing could have allowed it to detect a predator's approach early enough to position itself defensively, presenting its armored back and tail club as a formidable deterrent. These advanced sensory capabilities underscore the Ankylosaurus as a highly specialized organism, perfectly equipped to navigate its dangerous environment. The reign of Ankylosaurus, of course, came to an end, along with that of other non-avian dinosaurs during the KT extinction event approximately 66 million years ago. However, its legacy lives on in our understanding of natural design and defense mechanisms. The Cretaceous period truly was an era of titans. It produced not only the largest terrestrial predator, but also the largest land animals ever known, a true monster mash of epic proportions. And while dinosaurs dominated, other species also reached massive sizes, including flying reptiles and marine lizards. Approximately 82 million years ago in North America, the world witnessed the emergence of Deinosuchus, the largest crocodilian in Earth's history. This colossal crocodilian, whose name translates to terrible crocodile, was discovered in the 1850s, when large, distinctive teeth were unearthed in North Carolina. However, unlike many species whose initial size estimates are later reduced, Deinosuchus has maintained its colossal reputation. New findings continue to confirm its immense size, which is awe-inspiring. There are 3 recognized species, Hatcheri, rugosus, and riograndensis. Deinosuchus hatcheri, found in North Carolina, provided critical insights into the genus's structure and lifestyle. Deinosuchus rugosus, mainly discovered in Montana, displayed a more robust build, possibly adapted to different prey or environmental conditions. And Deinosuchus riograndensis, uncovered in Texas, grew even larger than its eastern counterparts. Paleontologists estimate that an average adult Deinosuchus measured between 26 and 33 feet long and weighed between 2.5 and 5 tons, more than twice the size of a male hippo. Some individuals grew even larger. Despite the inflated initial estimates, the reality of Deinosuchus's size remains impressive. Among known specimens, the riograndensis species stands out. Studies suggest the largest individuals could reach lengths of up to 12 meters and weigh around 8.5 tons. This would make them not only the largest crocodilians ever, but also heavier than most dinosaurs, except for Tyrannosaurus rex. Paleontologist Thomas Lehman extensively examined the Texas fossils, offering insights into the biology and growth patterns of these ancient reptiles. His research revealed growth rings in their osteoderms, similar to tree rings, which provided valuable information about their age and growth rates. Notably, some of the largest riograndensis individuals showed evidence of rapid growth spurts during their juvenile years, followed by more gradual growth into adulthood. These findings underscore the impact of environmental factors like food availability and climate on their growth and maximum size. With its brain case and overall appearance, Deinosuchus bore a resemblance to modern alligators, including a body and snout that superficially mimicked these relatives. This made Deinosuchus an imposing figure. However, beyond this general similarity, Deinosuchus was distinct, featuring a unique skull shape not seen in any living or extinct genus. Despite its size and robust build, studies have shown that Deinosuchus's bite force was, surprisingly, somewhat modest. A 2002 study reported a bite force of about 18,000 newtons, sufficient to crush bones, but relatively weak considering its size, especially compared to the smaller saltwater crocodile, which exerts a bite force of 16,500 newtons. Examinations of Deinosuchus fossils reveal that its skull was not only massive, but also highly specialized. The arrangement of its teeth showcased a combination adapted to its predatory lifestyle: conical and sharp front teeth for grasping prey, and blunt, robust rear teeth designed for crushing bones. These fossilized feces contain fragments of dinosaur bones, fish scales, and turtle shells, providing a snapshot of its varied diet. Dr. Karen Chin, a specialist in coprolite studies, emphasizes the importance of these findings. The diverse prey items found in Deinosuchus highlight its opportunistic feeding behavior, suggesting that this ancient predator consumed a wide range of animals, from large herbivorous dinosaurs to smaller aquatic creatures. Deinosuchus is thought to have used ambush tactics to capture its prey, leveraging its massive size and crushing bite to inflict fatal injuries. Like modern crocodiles, this giant predator likely employed a death roll maneuver to enhance its hunting efficiency, grabbing prey and then rapidly rotating, using its body weight and momentum to incapacitate and dismember it. Reconstructing the hunting methods of Deinosuchus involves analyzing fossil evidence and comparing it with the behavior of modern crocodilians. The robust anatomical features of Deinosuchus, including strong neck muscles and a sturdy body, support this hypothesis, making it a highly effective predator in its ancient ecosystem. Deinosuchus experienced a slow growth rate, as evidenced by growth rings on its osteoderms. These rings indicate that it took around 35 years to reach full size. Despite this long maturation period, juvenile Deinosuchus were still formidable predators, sporting considerable size and powerful bites, even at a young age. This isn't just another big cat. It's a legendary predator that dominated its world like no other, leaving modern felines in the dust. The story of this magnificent creature's discovery begins in the humid lands of Mississippi during the early 1800s, when paleontologists first unearthed fragments of its skull. They initially believed they had found remains of an unusually large domestic cat, placing it in the genus Felis. This classification, however, would prove to be just the first chapter in a much longer story of scientific discovery and reclassification. As more specimens emerged from the Earth, scientists quickly realized they were dealing with something far more impressive: the sheer size and distinctive features. The American lion. Even its popular name hints at a story modern science has reshaped. For a long time, we thought it was merely a subspecies of the modern lion, Panthera leo atrox. But recent research, much like with the dire wolf, reveals it wasn't quite what we initially believed. Detailed anatomical studies have shown crucial differences setting it apart from today's lions: a more robust build, proportionally longer limbs, and, notably, the absence of a prominent mane in males. This led to reclassification as its own species, Panthera atrox, the cruel panther. DNA analysis suggests it emerged from an isolated population of cave lions trapped south of the North American ice sheets, roughly 340,000 years ago. Their hunting strategy likely relied heavily on ambush tactics. a conclusion drawn from anatomical features and the behavior of modern relatives. A robust bone structure and powerful muscles would have allowed it to quickly overwhelm large prey, while long legs provided the burst speed necessary for successful attacks. Fossil evidence gives us insights into their hunting. Blue Babe, a remarkably preserved steppe bison in Alaska, bears unmistakable marks of an American lion attack. Deep claw wounds and distinctive bite patterns matching the predator's dentition. Fossils at sites like Natural Trap Cave in Wyoming show numerous prey species bearing characteristic damage patterns of American lion predation. But what truly set American lions apart wasn't just their size. It was their adaptability and territorial dominance. Studies of fossil deposits across North America reveal fascinating insights into their social structure and hunting territories. Unlike modern African lions that typically control territories of 100 to 200 sq.km, American lions commanded vastly larger ranges, some extending up to 500 sq.km per pride. This massive territory was a necessity given their size and caloric needs. The fossil record also tells an intriguing story of their social dynamics. While modern lions live in prides of up to 15 individuals, American lion social groups appear to have been smaller but more efficient. Bone assemblages at key sites, like the Page-Ladson site in Florida, and the Rancho La Brea deposits, suggest groups of 4 to 6 adults working together with devastating effectiveness. Their smaller pride size, combined with larger individual mass, meant each pride needed to bring down fewer but larger prey animals to sustain themselves. Perhaps most fascinating is the evidence of their den sites discovered in caves across the American West. These sites, particularly those found in the Grand Canyon region, show signs of multi-generational use, some caves bearing marks of occupation spanning thousands of years. The walls of these dens often bear deep scoring marks from claws, a behavior seen in modern big cats, but at a scale that dwarfs anything in the present day. Some of these marks are over 3 meters high on cave walls, tangible evidence of their incredible reach when standing on their hind legs. These locations have also yielded collections of bones from juvenile American lions of varying ages, suggesting that, like modern lions, they had developed sophisticated parenting strategies. Unlike solitary big cats, such as tigers, American lions appear to have invested heavily in cooperative cub rearing, a social adaptation. The American lion, I've come to believe, was truly extraordinary. Its bite force alone was a testament to its power. That thick, powerfully built skull could generate a bite of 1,800 lb per square inch. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 3 times stronger than a modern lion and 6 times more powerful than a Smilodon. I remember being particularly struck by fossil evidence found near the La Brea tar pits in California. The remains of a grey wolf were discovered there, its right femur completely severed, not by scavenging, but by a single bite from one of these American lions. The wolf survived, which is incredible, but the incident paints a clear picture of the devastating force these cats possessed. Beyond brute strength, I find myself drawn to the idea of their intelligence. The American lion had a notably large brain case, suggesting significant cognitive capabilities. Considering the problem-solving abilities we see in modern panther species, it seems likely that the American lion was a highly intelligent predator. It's fascinating to consider their interactions with natural hazards. Despite being one of the most common large carnivores of their time, their remains are surprisingly underrepresented in tar pit fossil deposits. This suggests to me that they were better at recognizing and avoiding these traps, showing a level of environmental awareness that really set them apart. Their range extended across much of North America, from Alaska to central Mexico. They adapted to various environments, from open grasslands to semi-forested regions, sharing their territory with mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, and, of course, early human populations. He thought scavenging was the only option because the fossil was located far from the coast, with no signs of large rivers or deep lakes nearby. However, this scavenging idea was debunked in 1996. Scientists pointed out that, unlike the hooked beaks of specialist scavenger birds, Quetzalcoatlus had a lower jaw that bent so steeply downward that even when closed, a significant space remained between it and the upper jaw. One theory proposed that Quetzalcoatlus ate like modern skimmers, cleaving the waves with its beak and grabbing fish in midair, thanks to its long neck vertebrae and toothless jaws. Though this idea gained widespread acceptance, it wasn't scientifically tested until 2007. This study revealed that for such massive flying creatures, the energy requirements for skimming would be prohibitively high due to considerable drag. A year later, another study suggested that the remaining bones of the Asdarchid family were not found close enough to large bodies of water to support skimming. Scientists also found that the anatomy of Quetzalcoatlus was quite different from any known skimmer. A skimmer's neck is designed to absorb sudden impacts, but Asdarchids lacked these adaptations. In reality, they would likely break their necks attempting to push their lower jaws through the water. On the contrary, their anatomy is similar to modern storks, indicating they most likely pursued and hunted small animals on land. It's possible Quetzalcoatlus crossed paths with other herbivorous giants, like the Alamosaurus, and even fearsome predators like the mighty T-Rex, Dromaeosaurus, Triceratops, Albertosaurus, Edmontosaurus, and Dakotaraptor. In the skies, Quetzalcoatlus likely shared its domain with other pterosaurs, such as Pteranodon and Nyctosaurus, coexisting within those long-extinct ecosystems. The mere thought of encountering such colossal creatures, including Quetzalcoatlus, makes me grateful to live in a time beyond their reign.